My guest at this time is Dr. John Lott, founder and president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. He is also the author of numerous books, including More Guns, Less Crime. He joins me now to discuss President Trump's decision to withdraw the United States as a signatory on the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty. And Dr. Lott, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks very much for having me on.
Well, Trump made the announcement Friday at the National Rifle Association annual meeting. He's getting pilloried, to no great surprise, in the media for withdrawing from a treaty that pretty much everyone in the media is describing as something that prevents the proliferation of guns into the hands of gangs, terrorists, and cartels. Obviously, folks who are strong defenders of the Second Amendment see it quite differently. What's the mainstream media missing here?
I'm glad that the arms treaty is dead. I mean, it would be basically requiring signatory countries to have registration and licensing of guns. There are real problems with that, a real waste of money, and diverting police resources from things that we know that work into things that don't. But, and I'm glad that the president has killed this thing. There are other ways he could have killed it. He could have had the Senate vote on it, and it would have been defeated. It would have been defeated soundly. That might have been useful just to go and show what a large number of U.S. senators thought that the deal that the Obama administration had signed on to didn't make any sense.
Why does the Arms Trade Treaty not work? And what specifically is the threat to law-abiding gun owners in this country if it were to have gone forward?
Registration, licensing, guns, things that would have made it more costly if people have guns. Look, in theory, registration can help solve crimes. If a criminal leaves a gun at a crime scene and it's registered to the criminal, you can obviously then go and arrest the person who committed the crime. The problem is, one, crime guns are almost never left at the crime scene. And the few times that they are left at the crime scene, they're not registered. And once or twice that you see them registered, they're not registered to the person who committed the crime. Whether you look at Hawaii or Chicago or Washington, D.C., or other countries such as Canada, when people have gone back and looked at the data, they can't find one single crime that's been solved as a result of registration licensing. The additional, and there are other things that are involved here. The additional reporting requirements and costs that would be imposed on gun companies are things that, the customers here in the United States would be having to pay for, and it's things that would discourage people from being able to own guns simply because of the cost that would be imposed. It also would affect foreign policy. If our government wanted to go and try to help out, freedom fighters or something in a particular area, they would be forbidden from doing it. And of course, the problem is our government would obey those types of rules. I don't think you're going to be seeing China or Russia or other countries like that obeying the rules, and you would end up with a situation where the types of people that we supported would be disarmed in these battles, and the types of people that left-wing government supported wouldn't be.
I'm still staggered by the statistic that there's never been a crime solved by gun registration. That is quite telling. You also mentioned a little while ago, sir, that doing this policy, signing on to this and pursuing this policy, not only doesn't work, but it takes resources away from things that are proven to work. What are those?
Right. Well, just take something like policing generally. Hawaii or Honolulu, when the police chief there was asked to say how many hours of police time each year that they spend dealing with registration, he estimated there was 50,000 hours worth of police time. And, maybe if you'd solve thousands of crimes, or at least hundreds of crimes, or at least a dozen crimes, or at least any crime, then there might be some discussion about the trade-offs that were there, because obviously 50,000 hours worth of police time could have been used in traditional policing that we know works, knows solve crime. And instead, what you've done is you've taken 50,000 hours worth of police from doing things that we know work into something that the police chief there wasn't able to point to a single crime that they've been able to solve as a result of the process. So you're diverting resources, time, and money from things that work in normal policing to things that they admit haven't solved any crimes, helped solve any crimes.
Last question here, Dr. Lott. You were at the National Rifle Association annual meeting, and obviously each year when they get together, they talk about the threats to the Second Amendment, as well as the opportunities to defend it. And we're obviously heading into a political cycle, and so those who want more gun control are pushing that. Those who want to protect the Second Amendment are doing that. As you look at this cycle that we're coming into and the stark positions on the Second Amendment that we're seeing, how big of a battle do you expect there to be in the next couple of years over the Second Amendment?
Well, I think we have a huge battle. Just looking at what Democratic presidential candidates are promising, it seems like virtually all of them are promising gun bans or taxes and fees that are going to make it costly for law-abiding citizens, particularly the types of people who benefit the most from owning guns, from being able to own it. I mean, my research indicates that it's poor blacks and live in high-crime urban areas, the very people who are most likely to be victims of violent crime, who benefit the most from owning guns. And you go and impose the types of restrictions and fees that they want to have, let alone bans. Those are the individuals. They're going to find it hard. I mean, just look at New Jersey this last week. They want to go and increase the fees that you have for things like a license from $5 to $100, the cost of getting a concealed carry permit from $20 to $400, the cost of licensing each gun that you have from $2 to $50. I mean, who do they think is going to be able to go and afford $550 when you add it all up to go and get a concealed carry permit? It's not going to be poor minorities who live in high-crime urban areas. It's going to be only very wealthy individuals. I mean, we're just talking about the cost of getting the licenses. And, the irony is that Democrats go and claim, how much they care about the poor and things like that. It'd be great if the police were there all the time, but, do they really think the poor are going to be able to go and pay these types of fees? They don't even have an exemption there for people that are poor to go through the process.
Dr. Lott, we'll certainly be watching, and given the intensity of the debate, I'm sure it won't be long before we're talking again. Thank you, sir, very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Dr. John Lott is the founder and president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. You can find them online at crimeresearch.org. I'm Greg Columbus reporting for Radio America.